Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Four Trained Savages podcast. Today is October 16th, episode number 225. Tyler, it's been a while since, or it's been a couple weeks now since the Yankees have lost to the Toronto Blue Jays, who are now playing in the American League Championship Series against the Seattle Mariners. They just won their first game against Seattle to make that a 2-1 series. But it's been a while since we've talked about this Yankees team. We were going to talk about this team. I was traveling. I was on a little vacation during the time. I was ready to record. Looked like the Yankees were going to make a little bit of a comeback noise after that game 3 win back in the Bronx, where Aaron Judge had his signature moment, his playoff moment that unfortunately was ruined within the series, but was just a standout moment. And it's been a while since we've talked about this, but it's a little time to let it digest and to discuss what happened, and then also just the outlook for the rest of this offseason for the Yankees, and just breaking down this series, talking about everything. So a little bit of a hiatus for us just because I was over in Spain. So a big time difference, man. These games, the 4 o'clock game started at 10 o'clock there, and then the 7 o'clock game started at like 2 or 3 in the morning for me.
Kids up at
But
4:30
I
in the
was
morning watching
that
Savage.
shout out to the MLB app. That is something that saved me. So I was able to stream the games through my MLB app and my MLB TV. So that was really cool to be able to watch. I was able to watch all the moments in these games. I was just extra sleepy during these times, but the Yankees have a disappointing end of their season, and they lose to their divisional opponent there, who was able to win the American League East from them. But I think overall, there's some big things to talk about from this series, and then also how that translates into the moves that the Yankees will make of bringing guys back, who to bring back, who they should prioritize, and just I think the Aaron Judge conversation of the way they play, of the way he stepped up after a disappointing moment in game 1 to then come back in game 3. And then also I think the story to start off, I suppose, is just coming off the great pitching that they got in the wild card series. The starting pitching in this Toronto series was just not good.
Terrible.
Not good outside of Cam Schlittler, who didn't give you good of a as good of a start with when he pitched against Boston, but still gave you a manageable game. And then we know the Jazz Chisholm error and the Yankees not playing clean baseball there. And that was kind of the story for me. I'll turn it over to you. What were your biggest takeaways from this Toronto series and just the way that this series ended up for the Yankees?
I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there, Rob. I mean, the you can't have one pitcher pitch into the fourth inning and think you're going to win a series. Rodon, Heel, Fried, none of them gotten out in the fourth inning. It's crazy. So kind of be grateful you made it to game 4, honestly. And then I think it goes back to like the offense did nothing in this series outside of Judge. I think it goes back to like, the John Boy people hit this too a lot is like the approach of the team, right? And I know Rob has been on this for quite some time as well. Is seems like a lot of these guys are really trying to go up there and hit homers every single pitch, and there isn't much of like an approach. Where when you watch Toronto play, they're clearly looking to poke the ball the other way. They're taking what pitches are given. So I think it comes down to like, some philosophy, organizational philosophy in terms of what they think can build a winning team. I kind of like that after this series and after this loss. I feel like outside of like diehard Yankees fans and people that are just screaming on Twitter and like us screaming into the microphone, I think the national media, national audience has kind of started to understand that like Cashman and the Yankees and seem to build a team set for 162, that over 162, this will work. We'll be good. We'll get into the playoffs and we'll roll the dice from there. But then you see like teams like Toronto and Milwaukee really have an actual approach to playing baseball in the postseason. So
Yeah.
I think, some things reared their ugly head. I will say, I think the defense was fine for the most part. Obviously Jazz had, his error, but I think the team really shored themselves up defensively down the stretch this year. But ultimately, you're not going to win a game with the pitching giving you the length it did, especially when you got to start throwing bullpen arms multiple times. Um, and the offense was terrible outside of Judge. Trent was a liability. Belly did nothing. Stanton did nothing really. Jazz did not do much. Goldie had not a bad postseason. Ben Rice, outside of that, really that game against the Sox, didn't do a ton. I think Wells was second on the team in average. Um, and he had a couple cool big hits, but ultimately everything failed, Rob. I mean, the starting pitching wasn't good. The bullpen was not great. Um, and the entire offense outside of Judge amounted to nothing essentially. So those are
Yeah,
my takeaways.
I think I was most surprised by how the starting pitching sort of crumbled the way that they did
Yeah.
after they looked in the first series and just the majority of the season. I mean, we know that we've seen sort of blow up starts from all of these starting pitchers from
Hmm.
time to time, but it hit the wall at
Three
the
straight
wrong
is
time.
weird.
And yeah, going back to the offense thing, I it was amazing to see, or it was really refreshing to see the way that Aaron Judge from start to finish. And I was very concerned after that game one, and I would have had a different tune, but he shut me up with that game three moment. And a lot of Yankee fans were so excited to see that. And it looked like, okay, this is something that's going to turn the series. We're going to potentially see a 2017 ALDS turnaround where they drop the first two and then they go on and win the next and take the series. And that was sort of the way that we felt. And then, yeah, the offense that we had seen had been so good throughout the year. And I think the one that came to mind that I was like, ooh, I don't know how he's going to perform in October was Trent Grisham.
Hmm.
And Ben Rice, like you said, had that good game against Boston, but kind of looked like a rookie for the rest of the year
I think he
or for
just
the rest of
got
the series.
too many at bats against lefties, honestly.
And don't get me, we're going to save a section to talk about Anthony Volpe, 1 for 15 with 11 strikeouts in this series
Oh,
against
I'm glad you
Toronto.
brought that up because yeah, he was fucking
That
terrible, Rob.
was, and they're
Didn't
talking
look like
about,
a baseball player, honestly.
and he got surgery on Tuesday for the torn labrum in his non-throwing shoulder, and that's a huge conversation that for the rest of these off-season pods that we'll be talking about with Anthony Volpe. And right now, the Yankees of Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone are doing their, while we're recording, they're talking about their off-season presser,
Hmm.
uh, and there's a bunch of different stuff that's coming out that will actually, it's a good time that we're recording so then we can
Yep.
react to it in real time. But I mean, Anthony Volpe didn't look good in this lineup, like you said. Austin Wells did look better, and he had some moments during this series. And just, I mean, even Cody Bellinger had some struggle periods in this series as well. That they and as well, Giancarlo Stanton, who had been nothing but good for the Yankees in October moments, was not the same player in October. So that's what this Yankee offense is certainly susceptible to. That they do look like the thing that was frustrating. I think I sent this text to you that the thing that was so frustrating was they didn't, outside of maybe game three with Judge when he then hit his home run, they have the games that they have during the regular season where the offense is clicking at such an awesome rate and we're getting excited. It just seems sometimes that they don't even have those games here and there in October, maybe, and similar to what the Toronto Blue Jays did against the Yankees, that you're looking for that big offensive explosion, but then they don't do that to what you want. And that's why I say during the regular season that when they have this huge run differential, it doesn't necessarily, yes, it does indicate that they can hit and that they're something from 1 to 162, that they are a productive offense and that they're going to be one of the top offenses in the league. But when they have these moments where they have these big games and these big offensive outbursts and maybe series where they're could be, and you can make the argument that sometimes they're inflating numbers against bad teams, that it doesn't necessarily reflect what they're going to do in October. And I think that was an example of it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that they don't have the pieces that they could turn it around and make something of what they have existing. I don't want to say that, but it's when I saw the Trent Grisham having the year that he did, or maybe even just Ben Rice in his first year. I'm very high on Ben Rice. I think Ben Rice can be a productive player in the future, but it was just parts of August and parts of July where I was saying to myself, "Ooh, I don't know if this team gives you that utmost confidence." And especially when you look at back end of the guys of like Anthony Volpe and Ryan McMahon, even though McMahon had a home run. So I don't know. The offense was not as surprising to me, but I think the takeaway for me was just how bad that the starting pitching was.
Yeah,
And so that was my main takeaway from the series. That I really thought that, okay, the momentum coming off. I mean, if you listen to the last podcast, the momentum coming off the Red Sox series, I'm saying, okay, let's go, let's do this
yeah.
thing. Judge was hitting pretty well. Judge was slapping some singles, getting some production, but then just the guys that you were depending on during the regular season didn't show up in October, which is a story that unfortunately we know all too well in these last years with the Yankees. And when you talk about, Tyler, a year that they came off of in 2024 of in the World Series, and you talked about how they had really, even after losing Juan Soto, a more well-rounded lineup and a little bit more depth that we did see on display.
Hmm.
It's very disappointing to see that they didn't even get back to the ALCS. And I think Toronto was playing like a wagon in that series
Hmm.
and offensively, but I don't think it was out of the realm of possibilities that the Yankees couldn't take them on. But they just, and then that big
And
moment with
also
Jazz and
yeah, them continuing to pitch to Vlad every single game was like one of the stupidest things I've ever seen.
yeah,
Like with like a runner on second, 2 outs, first base open, still throwing pitches to Vlad. I thought that was dumb too. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things here, right? Like, guys that we do like Belly did not have a good postseason, and
no.
he has an approach that we are looking for the most part in terms of
Least amount
building
of
the team
strikeout.
around him.
I think it was his lowest strikeout rate in his career was with the Yankees this year. So that's a guy that when you say, oh, he doesn't strike out, he puts the ball in play. He had been doing it this year,
Hmm.
but and then in October it didn't show up.
And listen, I don't want to act like this is just a Yankee thing too. Like it is, it's tougher to hit in the postseason. I mean, th- that is the reality. But yes, the storyline remains the same in terms of Yanks bats fall quiet in October. Um, so yeah, man. I mean, but again, even going back to the bet, yeah, the offense did nothing in game four, and the offense did nothing in game one in this series. But you're not winning a series when your first three pitchers do not go 3 innings. It's
No.
just not happening. I don't give a shit what happened. Um, it was frustrating not getting to them in that bullpen game in game four, but you know, it is what it is, Rob. Cam Schlittler was your best pitcher throughout the playoffs, and that was cool to see. I think a lot of Yankee fans feel really good about starting pitching going into next year. One
With
thing I
Garrett
will
Cole
hone
coming
it.
back. Yeah.
Yep, Cole coming back. One thing I will hone in on too a little bit is Devin Williams. Pretty good, man, in terms of the playoffs. I don't think he's going to be a Yankee again unless they, for some reason, give him the qualifying offer, which I'd be shocked because it'll be $20+ million. Um, Bednar was fine, or Bednar was good, excuse me. Duvall came alive a little bit. But yeah, they need more strikeout guys in the bullpen. They need to not have a shortstop that is just a black hole. Um, and Volpe looked good defensively, I'll give him that, but absolutely terrible in terms of swinging the stick, dude. So,
hmm we'll quickly run through the series, just a light overview of what happened, and then we're going to talk more about the free agents. And a lot of news is coming out of this press conference. Also, they just noted that Carlos Rodon recently got a bone spur removed from his left elbow, and it'll
mhm.
be 8 weeks with no throwing for him. So that's something, and it's going to delay his 2026 debut. So that's another conversation of an injury. And then also Aaron Judge is going to avoid that surgery that we were potentially thinking of for this offseason. So it sounds like it's just gonna, rest, give him some time off, and then hopefully
Mhm.
just the thing heals. And it sounds like he's in the clear for that. But this game one was Luis Heel got the early hook story in this one, like I said, alluded to with the Aaron Judge in that I believe it was the top of the sixth, right?
Yeah,
where Aaron
bases
Judge,
loaded,
where the
no
Yankees again
outs.
had the bases loaded, no outs, and then Judge with just not a good at bat. Yankees were able to scratch across a run in the inning, but then the Blue Jays eventually
It was a belly
in the
walk,
bottom
right?
of the seventh, yeah, and then in the bottom of the seventh, took it out of reach, and then furthermore in the bottom of the eighth, with Luke Weaver looking absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I'm all
And
set on
I
Weaver,
think
honestly,
Luke
moving forward.
Weaver, we'll talk about it more in the later in the episode about our free agents that are the Yankees free agents that are now on the market. I don't think Luke Weaver is coming back because this end of the year and then this postseason just very disappointing for him, especially coming off of what we saw from him in 2024 of really how he put the bullpen on his back last season.
Hmm.
Complete opposite. So that was the story from game one. Game two, Max Fried, who had been coming off a really good start against Boston, 3 innings pitched, 8 hits, 7 earned runs, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. Really bad. And then for the Toronto Blue Jays, they had their own first starter for the playoffs, Trey Savage, who had been
Looked
doing a
ridiculous.
lot of talking also.
He's also
Uh,
so annoying. Like,
um,
so annoying.
but in this one, the Blue Jays go up in the bottom of the fifth, 12-0, and the Yankees were able to in the top of the seventh make it a 7-13 game, but just a bad start from
That's yeah.
Max
We
Fried.
were facing quadruple A pitching essentially when they
Yeah.
put up 7 runs.
And then in the third game, we saw that Carlos Rodon, 2 1/3, 6 earned runs. Again, and not if your starters of who are arguably other than the offense, but you can make the argument that the starters this year were just this could be the strong suit of the team. When they're not going to 3 innings in the game, that's not even that. That's a problem.
Especially when your bullpen is bad.
Yes. Yeah.
You
Uh,
know, like there's
so
nothing you can do essentially.
So Carlos Rodon sucks in this outing.
Yanks win
As for the rest
somehow
of
though.
as for the rest of the bullpen, they were lights out. Those 6 earned runs on Carlos Rodon were the only blemishes there, and Stanton was able to hit in Judge and make it a 2-1 game, and then the Jays are up in the top of the third, 6-1, and then Aaron Judge in the what was it? It was in the bottom of the fourth, ties the game. Jazz Chisholm with his home run in the bottom of the fifth, and then the Yankees were able to squeak across another 3 runs, or yes, another 2 runs to make it 9-6, and then the bullpen was able to hold on to it there. And then in game four, uh, just they had let's just Vladdy was
You had a
unbelievable.
chance to
Vladdy
win
was
this game.
unbelievable. McMahon ties it in the bottom of the third. It's a 2-1 ball game after Springer gets across a run in the top of the fifth. And
Ooh, they didn't
that
even give Jazz an error on that play, huh?
uh that jazz error is just the killer. And they were able to go up eventually 5-1. Judge gets across the run in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, but it was not going to happen, and that was really disappointing there. I
Yeah,
think
well, I mean,
that
when
was a complete kick to the balls. I mean, I'll let you talk about it. That was just
no, I
it was
mean
bad.
it kind of felt like the game was like even if Cam Schlittler pitched his absolute earmuffs, Cam Schlittler pitched his absolute dick off in this game. Um, and it wasn't a complete and utter domination like against Boston. 6 1/3, 8 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 Ks, no
Yeah.
walk. So he was bumping the strike zone, man. And the defense kept him in it for the most part, made some nice plays, some hard hit balls at people. Um, I don't remember what the situation was. I think was it runners on first and third or
First and second.
first and second when Luke's hit the hard hit ball to Jazz and Jazz
I
just
mean, you got to
didn't.
make that play,
He
man. You
got
got
it 100%. He just didn't get in front of it. Even if he gets all the way in front of that ball, he should knock it down. Um, and everything kind of unravels there. I think most Yankee fans watched that play happen and go and went, "That's the season." I know I did. So yeah, Jazz gets a tailor-made, hard hit ball, double play right at him. It flies by him, and if Jazz literally secures that ball, he steps on second, easy out at
it's
first.
a 2-1 ball game
It's a
still.
2-1 ball game, and we've also prior to that, they had runners on the bases. Like they were putting some pressure on the Jays. Like they had gotten to some of their relievers that were going to come in. And if you watch this game, I don't remember if you were watching the end of this game, Rob. I don't remember, but Hoffman did not look good, and that's their closer. Yanks had two hits off him, gave up an earned run. He walked someone. Hoffman didn't look good. So I really think if you went into the end of that game down 2-1, which is what it should have been, barring a Jazz error, the team I think has a real
I mean, Aaron
chance
Judge is
to.
hitting well, and
Yeah,
then
I mean, Judge comes up, rips a double to make it to get another run on the board and get that second run. But yeah, Jazz, I mean, made a really bad play. He owned it in in his comments after, but owning it doesn't do much when the season's over. So I appreciate it, but whatever. Dude, it's shitty, man. I mean, I hate to see like defense rear its head because I don't think defense was the problem of this team necessarily, honestly.
no, it was the
Um,
offense and it was the starting pitching in this series.
but yeah, Jazz made a bad play at a bad time, and it is magnified because a lot of the pitching sucked, and Judge only gets up four times a game, and
Yeah.
it's baseball. So
No, listen, what I will say, and I'm going to give him immense credit. And next year, hopefully, when they get back into the postseason, it's not going to be as much of a conversation for me, and I think for Yankee fans, because I give Aaron Judge, even though the Yankees fell short, I give Aaron Judge a ton of credit for the way that he responded after that game 1 strikeout against Gosman. And it
hmm
was like, here we go again, Aaron Judge in the moments where
the
they
big
need him.
moment, yeah.
And he did come through in game 3 in a game that they won that looked like it was going to reverse the series. The Yankees were only down 2-1 late in the game, in the next game, and it was defense that bit them in the ass. And that is unfortunate, but Aaron Judge hit very well in this postseason. And I think we have to give him a ton of credit for that. And he showed me a lot hitting that home run off the foul pole. And that
hmm
was such an energetic moment for
It
this
was
Yankees
unreal to
team.
watch,
And
dude.
it was an amazing moment. And it's a shame that it's again a moment like the
Yeah.
Class A moment that's going to be wasted. But the team collectively has to do it together, and they have to go out there in 2026, and hopefully Aaron Judge is going to have another MVP like season, and then they're right back in the position with a different team, a different orchestration that can get it done. But I have to sit here and give Aaron Judge a bunch of credit because I was saying to you, I'm like, oh come on, dude, you got to come because it was a big spot. It was like
It
another
was a
big
massive
spot,
spot.
but he came back out and he did what needed to be done, and that's the moral of the story there. Good thing he's not going to need surgery, and now we're back on the offseason talk, Tyler. And that's where we sit. That's where we sit, and there are some interesting
Reliving
things,
trauma.
reliving trauma and doing this conversation once again. So I think let's start with the guys that are gonna still be around here, right? I think that I mean, they're talking about everything that's going on right now. Brian Hoke just tweeted out not too long ago. Jason Dominguez is expected to play regularly next season, according to Aaron Boone.
So
So
no Trent for
that
sure.
is a thing. I think when we hear that, I think we'll start with Trent Grisham, right?
I want Jason to play, man. I think he's got a lead off approach. The defense and left is scary as hell,
Yeah.
but
No,
things
I'm on
like,
the same
dude,
page
didn't
with you.
see. I actually am reliving trauma because I'm getting frustrated just like thinking, like Trent Grisham having nine doubles this year, like pisses me off to a level of no end, honestly. That I like was blinded by the 34 homers or whatever. I don't know.
Well, I'll put it like this: his postseason stats for Trent Grisham for Trent Grisham in 29 at bats, he had 4 hits, 1 stolen base, a 138 average, a 219 on base percentage, and a 426 OPS. Coming into this, I am extremely appreciative of what he was able to do this season because he drove the Yankees to where they were able to get eventually into
He had some
October.
big homers, yeah.
He had some really big homers and really clutch moments. But it was one of the fears that I had, Tyler, that I said to you multiple times is yes, he had some moments as a Padre against the Mets in a wild card series, but I didn't really feel like, ooh, I don't know how it is going to play out where you're relying on Trent Grisham because he was such an integral part as your leadoff hitter and as a driving force in this lineup. I don't know how it's going to translate, well, but we're going to find out. We're going to have hope. And it really fell on its face when you look at those
Hmm.
numbers.
Yeah.
And so if you look at, and he's going to command some money, he's going to command some money. And for me, when it comes down to it, like you mentioned earlier, Jason Dominguez is clearly going to be a part of the mix, according to what Aaron Boone is saying. And I know that when you compare the defense, it's really no comparison, that it's Trent Grisham is that defensive asset. But then you say, well, there's got to be a lane for Jason. There's got to be a lane there. And to me, especially too, this is one thing that's not talked about enough. I think that, and it's maybe one of the reasons why they didn't play him as much last year, Tyler, in the postseason, is Trent Grisham doesn't exactly play the corner outfield spots. It seems like they pigeonhole him into the center field
Yeah.
position.
And if
And
you
I,
look at the numbers too, like the nerd numbers for defensive metrics have Trent Grisham as not a good outfielder. He passes the eye test for me in terms of not being an idiot, but I think in terms of balls he can get to, the sprint speed, all that stuff, not wonderful.
so, and if you look at his numbers in his career, the only year for him to have an OPS above 800 was the 2020 season where they played 59 games. He had an 808 OPS and he had a 10 home run, 10 home run, 26 RBI season. So for me, I if it's I'm not going to sit here and say, because of course if they strike out on Bellinger, which is the bigger conversation for us, that if they strike out on Bellinger and he's one of the options left, that yes, it's something that I would explore, and I don't want to say I'm completely out
Yeah,
on
I
it.
don't even know if I
However,
would, honestly.
but yeah, even I say to myself, I don't know if I'm ready. If I'm the Yankees, just because you strike out on potentially a Tucker or you strike out potentially on a Cody Bellinger, I don't know if I'm ready to just say, okay, I'm gonna let him hold me hostage somewhat, and I'm
Just give
gonna
me the
have
Dominguez
to
and yeah, Jones experiment at that point.
have to pay. Exactly. That's what I would say, because I don't know how reliable your career, one, I don't know how reliable career number or what your career is going to tell you in comparison to last year. Like last year is an outlier when you look at the rest of the seasons. And yes, he's going to earn money because of his season last year. But if you're the Yankees and you're going to commit significant dollars to him, I don't know if that really makes sense. To me, I think it goes, you shift your focus and you say, we got to pay Cody Bellinger and try and get him back in here. And we got to be able to fit in Jason Dominguez, because otherwise, why is he here? Why, what
Hmm.
is going to happen? And two, goes back to say you sign Trent Grisham and you have Jason Dominguez. You don't have the flexibility to move Jason back and forth, see if he can play more center field, see if he can play center field better. If you sign Cody Bellinger, that gives you more flexibility in that outfield, and of course if you're going to play him at first base. But that's kind of what's going through my brain, is I'm very happy for what Trent Grisham gave to the Yankees this year. I probably feel otherwise if he hit better in the postseason, but he was
Hmm.
terrible. So I'm like, okay, thank you for your services, but I think the Yankees should look elsewhere. That's
I
the way I
agree.
feel.
I agree with you, Rob. They got outfielders. Got to see what you have in Jason. Got to see what you have in Spencer Jones. Like, if he's not going to play, please trade him. So I don't really want to do the whole Miguel Andujar, Clint Frazier, Peraza, Volpe
Trauma.
situation again, where we just like let these high end prospects dwindle to no value. Um, the comments coming out, they say they do anticipate Jason playing left next year. So I guess it's going to be all aboard left field, my boy. Um, but I'm honestly fine with it. The only thing I don't want is I really don't want Jason Dominguez being a switch hitter. Honestly, I think he's like Anthony Volpe, but worse from the right side. I just wish he could kind of just hit lefty.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm all set on Trent moving forward. Maybe they'll attach a qualifying offer to him, which would be in the $20 million range as well. Is Trent worth that?
That's the thing. I
I don't
just
think so, even
I
for a year, you
I
know?
I'm not going to discount the level of player that he can be defensively. Even though you said like the nerd numbers don't really necessarily pass the sniff test with Trent Grisham, but I do think he's an asset
Yeah.
defensively at the end of the
He
day.
he's not going to hurt you in the
But I
outfield.
just think that the career history and the outlying year of this year, that if I'm the Yankees, or honestly, for that matter, if I'm any other team, I'm saying we're going to give you a respectful offer,
Hmm.
but before we commit multiple years or even just a year or two with a lot of money attached to it, we need to see more. Like maybe it's a, I don't know, like a Pete Alonso situation where you got to see, okay, we're going to give you something with an opt out. Let's see if you
Hmm.
prove it. But I, I'm especially, I think maybe especially because of this postseason, I'm saying to myself, Trent, go test the market.
Yeah.
I
So am
am
I.
very happy with what you did for the regular season, but we're gonna see.
He's
The
cool to watch.
No, it is fun. I love his bat flips, but
Strikes out a lot. The whole Yankees team strikes out a lot, man.
so let's talk about though. I think the bigger priority for this Yankees team, and there's two priorities that I have in mind of what they need to approach the offseason with. But I'll save one of which is the bullpen, which is a big thing.
Hmm.
But I really think that this Yankees team has to bring back Cody Bellinger. I think that despite the disappointing, despite his disappointing October, I just think having Bellinger in this lineup, and I mentioned it earlier in the podcast that this year was his had his lowest percent on his strikeout rate for the year. He had 29 homers, 98 RBIs, 272 batting average, a 334 on base percentage, and an 814 OPS. And I mentioned it earlier in the Trent conversation. I just think having Cody be able to be somewhat of a Swiss Army knife in any of the positions in the outfield, have him as kind of insurance at first base a little bit for what you
Hmm.
may do. And I know Ben Rice ultimately will be there next year, I think, unless they
I'm all
trade
in on
him.
Ben. I'm all in on Ben
I know,
Rice.
but I'm just saying, say things could go sideways if you commit multiple years to Cody Bellinger. You
Yeah,
know that that guy can play first base. Is what just what
100%.
I'm saying, and he could play it at a very high level. All
Hmm.
these positions, I think Cody Bellinger is he's a Gold Glove level fielder. But also too, we have to keep in mind that he's a Scott Boras client. And he's going to get paid, and there's going to be a lot of offers out there for his services, I think, especially coming off this year. And then it goes back to a conversation of, I mean, a lot of people in the Yankee Twitter streets, Tyler, are talking, we need to go sign Kyle Tucker.
Yep. Who
What
doesn't have great postseason numbers, by the way?
what do you think about that kind of debate there?
I mean, I don't think there's a reason to pay more, like $200 million more for Kyle Tucker than Cody Bellinger. I do think Kyle Tucker is a better player, honestly. Um, it would be great to sign both, right?
That's
Like
true.
that's cool. But I am not aboard like the throw a blank check at Kyle Tucker. We know the Yankees like them because they, to some degree, had preliminary talks with the Astros in terms of trading for him. Um, so listen, man, if they pay a bunch of money to Kyle Tucker, I'm not going to sit here and be upset about it because at the end of the day, you can look at Kyle Tucker's stats and go, yeah, he had a down year this year, and his down year was a high year for Cody Bellinger at the end of the day. Like that
Mhm.
is the reality of it. Um, but I don't know. It's not a priority. You don't get Cody Bellinger, I'm not freaking out there. Or excuse me, if you don't get Kyle Tucker, I'm not freaking out. But Belly
I
needs to be back. One of them needs to be on the team.
exactly. That's where I'm at. I'm in lockstep with you. I think that I don't love the idea of paying Kyle Tucker 400 plus, even 450. I mean, even last year's talked about this could be a
Yeah.
500 mil guy similar to Vladdy, which I told Kyle Tucker is a good ball player. He is a
I do
good
think
ball
you're
player.
around the fours, though. Like he's gonna get a
I
Judge
do.
contract at least.
He is. I'm just, I got to be honest, coming off the heels of last year, and Soto had a great season,
Hmm.
but that money is stupid
They
money.
don't need Kyle Tucker. Are you talking
But
Soto?
I'm not talking, well, I'm just
Soto's
saying
money.
the amount of dollars that will be committed to Kyle Tucker is something
Yeah.
that at the end of the day, it's not my money, but
Hmm.
I know the way that this Yankees team operates. That is something that if they commit the amount of it was a fear with Soto, but
Yeah.
we had the 2024 World Series blinders on to sign him at all costs, sign him at all costs. But now it's like, okay, coming off the heels of last year and seeing this year and now having an option like Bellinger, we know how this Yankees team operates. And if they commit that amount of money to Kyle Tucker, you don't know. They could just say, well, we paid Kyle Tucker, so we're not going to do anything else really because we. That's one of the
Like that
reasons.
doesn't work. Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why yes, I know that Kyle Tucker is a couple years younger than Cody Bellinger. He has had better overall seasons, and he fits Yankee Stadium similarly. I would argue that I think Cody Bellinger is a better defender, but that
Yeah,
is
I
for.
agree with that. Tucker's not a
But
wonderful
I do
defender.
while I do I love offseason talk. I love the idea of the player swap jerseys with Kyle Tucker in a Yankees uniform. But if
Hmm.
you really think about the dollars that'll be committed and you think about just how Cody Bellinger has already been here and fit with this team and the price tag that will be associated with Kyle with the price tag that will be associated with Cody Bellinger versus Kyle Tucker, I think it's a big conversation to just have. I know we want to say we can spend billionaires' money, but I think that considering what else the Yankees team has to do with the bullpen, and there's some pretty okay bullpen arms out there on the market that if you can say, okay, I'm gonna have to pay something for Cody Ballinger because he's a Boris client, but then
Hmm.
that also gives me a little more flexibility to pay a reliever here, pay a reliever there. That to me is a more attractive option. But as what you said, if they sign Kyle Tucker, I'm not going to sit
You
here and
know,
be
no
like,
one's upset.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to be upset about it, but I do think with logic Yankee brain on, I think that Bellinger makes more sense. Go pay some more bullpen arms and then have someone else play shortstop.
Listen, Rob, it's like buying a car. They're kind of both these guys are relatively similar in the numbers they put up. I like Kyle Tucker a lot because he does not strike out, similar to Cody Bellinger. He's got a very high on base percentage. Belly is more versatile, as you mentioned, but it's like buying a used vehicle, Rob. We can make the fiscally smart decision, or we could take a gamble for, the new Mercedes with a little bit more tech and it looks a little cooler. It's got the ambient lighting and all that shit, which is the Kyle Tucker, right? So that Mercedes, that Kyle Tucker might cost you $450 million. But Rob, there's a brand new Toyota Corolla that is going to run you 280,000 miles. Doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but I know it's whole reliable, baby. We're going to get,
That's a good way to look at it.
I'm going to have my 800 OPS. My boy can play four different positions. And at the end of the day, Belly is 1 year older than Kyle Tucker. So it is not this monstrosity of a difference that everyone talks about. It just kind of feels like Belly's been around forever because he won an MVP like a million years ago. He's been on the Dodgers. He's been on the Cubs. He's now a Yankee. He's just kind of been all over the place, I feel like. But
People are also throwing out the fears that if they sign Bellinger, it's going to be like a Rizzo situation or it's going to be like a DJ LeMahieu situation.
that's
Mind
why
you,
I don't want a 6, 7 year contract. I don't
I
want
do
to,
agree with that. I
yeah,
do agree with whatever amount of I would be
four
more
years.
comfortable with 4 or 5 years, but
Even five, I get kind of nervous. But yeah, it makes sense there. I think comparing him to Rizzo and DJ LeMahieu are um,
just don't ruin
dumb.
his brain like Rizzo
Yeah, don't let Rizzo don't let one of your
Bellinger,
players play with
a broken head.
they take a kneecap to the dome.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe we get him checked for a concussion. But
yeah,
also like when Rizzo came over, he was 31 going into his age 32 season.
hmm
Not the same.
yeah.
When the Yankees signed DJ LeMahieu, what was that contract? What year did they
I
pay him?
think it
Was it
was 6 years.
2019?
I think it was six years for 90. I want to say 6 years for 96 or
And
something.
that was coming off of his 2019 season where he, hit 327, was very good. Um, he was going into his age 31 season. So you're talking about 2 full years of baseball.
hmm
It's a big difference. I mean, watch Goldie 2 years ago and watch him this year. I mean, he was coming off an MVP year 2 years ago. So 2 years in baseball, once you're approaching those early 30s, I mean, it's a legit difference. So
Yeah.
I think those comparisons are kind of a little bit silly, but I think they're warranted if the Yankees try and do stupid Yankee stuff where they go,
Uh-huh.
oh, well, I'd rather pay Cody Bellinger 23.5 million instead of 28 million. So we'll just make the contract 2 years longer to get the AAV down. I think that's stupid. Just pay the guy what he deserves for 4 years, get the contract out faster. and be smart. Um, don't try and just bring the AAV down so you could save, some percentages on the luxury tax when you go over the certain threshold. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at there. Like I said, wonderful to have either of them. Having both would be awesome, Rob. That's kind of where I'm at.
Well, I think you
Um,
need to have. I think if you swing for the fences and get Kyle Tucker, that's great. But I do think at the bare minimum, this team needs to bring back Cody Bellinger.
yes, I agree. But I think, and I am excited, like with the comments of Jason, supposedly being an everyday player the next year. I think that does give you three individuals in the outfield that have a two-strike approach, play the game of baseball the right way, and are not just going up there with a, big A swing trying to crush it. And that was what Trent was this year, right? He either walked or he hit a homer
Yeah.
or hit a single. He was walk, homer, single. I mean, Trent is kind of what they wanted in Joey Gallo almost, to a better degree, which is I think we are learning, and I think again, this is what I talked about. Baseball media has kind of taken off with this as soon as the Yankees lost. Is we are totally getting away from where every baseball team went in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 of that like just slug, just slug, just slug. Um, Even the Dodgers, like they have a healthy balance of that, dude. Um, where they got PK smacking the ball over the place. Like Tommy Edman comes in and plays ball. Mookie Betts, like Freddie, like these guys have two strike approaches. That's really what I think it comes down to, which is why I want one of Belly or Tucker, but at the bare minimum, securing Belly because we need to emphasize Belly style of play and move towards that, not away from it. If you don't retain Belly or get one of those guys, you're moving away from it in my head. So
Yeah. Good.
we need to
Good
sprint
way to
forward.
good way to put it. All right. So there's a lot of free agent names that we could talk about. I think we'll wait to really have that conversation until the end of the World Series, which will be a week and a half, I think, around Halloween time. So we'll save like the more in-depth free agency conversations, and we'll kind of, for now, keep it to just Yankees talk and some of the guys that have been around here, and then podcast in a couple weeks following the World Series. We'll talk about more about Tucker. I know people are throwing out Bo Bichette,
Yep.
Tyler.
I would love that, man. The MLB leader in hits all the time.
So let's talk though about the bullpen, right? I think the Yankees have some notable free agents in the bullpen like Devin Williams and Luke Weaver, Tim Hill also could potentially. I think I think he may have a club option or a player option.
They do have
Um,
a $5 million club option, I'm pretty
yeah, so
sure.
he'll probably stick around, but obviously,
I want Tim Hill.
oh, I absolutely.
It's
But
like
I
the
think
only guy that throws strikes.
the bigger conversation is along with retaining Cody Bellinger or potentially getting a guy like Kyle Tucker in here. I think the next priority for this Yankees team in the offseason is the bullpen. And where we may have not been open to the Devin Williams returning, it could be a situation where the Yankees maybe bring back Devin Williams if he wants to stay in New
Hmm.
York. But there's a lot of different guys on the free agent market, bullpen wise, that the Yankees could certainly use. I'm just going to go down the list really quick. Edwin Diaz can opt out. I'm sure the Mets will probably pay him ungodly amount of money. Devin Williams, I mean, Tyler Rogers, Kirby Yates, David Robertson, Pete Fairbanks, Jacob Junis, like a lot. Luke Weaver is going to be a free agent.
Hmm.
I mean, Steven Matz. It's funny seeing him in the
I would
free
love
agency
Pete
class.
Fairbanks, man.
There are a lot of different guys on the market, a lot of looking like a lot of older players on the market. So nothing that, I mean, Liam Hendricks is also, that's a
I think
bigger,
Hesley's there too.
Wandy Peralta can opt out, Tyler. So there's a lot of different bullpen arms. Johnny Loizaga is also has a club option.
I'm all
Um,
set.
yeah, I'm all set on him.
All set on that experiment.
But the moral of the story is that there's a lot of bullpen arms out on the market.
Hmm.
And this is going to be a situation. Maybe it's where the Yankees are getting some lesser name guys to plug into this bullpen. But what we do know, or maybe some bigger name guys, we don't know what'll happen. But what we do know is that the arguably the first priority, but I would say the second priority behind Bellinger, this team needs to fix the freaking bullpen because in this
Yeah.
is I think Tyler in the Boone era I would have to see the exact numbers, but just off the eye test and what we saw, this was the worst bullpen that this Yankees team has had under this
Yes.
regime.
And
And
I do think if Devin Williams is, you know, just not in the state of New York, I think they do win 5 more games this year, honestly,
that's true.
and win the division. So I'll put a chunk of it on there,
A
but
little asterisk there.
yeah, I agree with you for sure, Rob. I think a big thing with me is they simply did not have like strikeout guys in their bullpen this year. They did not have high velocity guys that came in and could throw 100 like I feel like they have had in years past. Fernando Cruz was really their only strikeout guy who looked a lot better before he got injured than when he came back. And you kind of notice once players saw him more than once, he kind of has one pitch, dude. It's a splitter. Like he's got to command the fastball for that splitter to work. And if players are going to spit on that splitter.
Hey,
He's not
yo.
he's not gonna have a ton of success. I do think the back end of the bullpen is close to what it's gonna be. If I'm being completely honest, Rob, like Doval and Bednar are probably going to be two of your top four guys. I don't think that's out of the realm of logic, honestly. Duvall looked good in in the last few pen starts he made. He is a really good reliever that's been around for a while. You'd hope he can work it out. I think the only way Devin Williams comes back, I don't think the Yankees give him a contract. I think they can extend the qualifying offer, which means you tie a draft pick to him if another team signs him. So it kind of depreciates his market a little bit in terms of the free agency. The qualifying offer will be expensive. It'll be in that $20 million range, but in Devin's case, he might look at it and go, yeah, I don't want to hit free agency when I had a terrible year this year. Like, I'll take my qualifying offer. I'll go pitch my nuts off for the Yankees again because I'm not scared of everything. And I'm not like, crumbling on the mound in fear. So maybe there's a chance he comes back, but I really do think Bednar, um, Duvall will be back. And I do think that's going to play a role in
That's what's
where they
structuring the
go.
rest of the pen and where
Yeah.
they go from there.
I think
And
there's a conversation we had about Luis Heel. Like,
yeah,
they have an excess of starters, Rob. And if you really go back to look at his, what he's done in totality with the Yankees, he had a really good first half in 2024. And that's kind of been it, dude. His numbers, when you look at them coming this year, are good after injury. I think knowing that I watched all of Luis Gil's starts, the numbers are a touch deceiving. I really would say. I think he got into a lot of trouble. I don't think he looked disgusting and lights out by any means when he came back. He is a guy that throws really hard and has wipeout stuff. Is there a lane for him in the pen where he becomes a Michael King-esque type deal? I don't know, but I agree with you 100%. Bullpen needs to be figured out.
yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know if they'd be open to trading him because now having Cam Schlittler in the mix, and then also Boone
Mm-hmm.
announced that today that Clark Schmidt could return in the second half potentially next year. I don't know how they're going to treat that in terms of him and
He should,
Keel.
right? When did he have Tommy John? Like
I think in
June?
June, yeah, around
Yeah.
June
So yeah,
time.
I think
So
July.
they have an overflow. So I don't discount that, but I know that this team is going to be hot in
Or
the
do they?
market
Yeah.
for some bullpen arms. That is pretty pretty easy to say there.
Yeah, you can't go into next year depending on the likes of Ian Hamilton. Um, my God. What name I just saw that just pissed me off? Scott Efros.
Ugh.
Can't depend on him. Um, dude, a lot of random people pitch for the Yankees this year. Um, Reminder, Adam Ottavino pitched for the Yanks this year, Rob. Had a higher WAR for the Yankees than Devin Williams. 0.1 to negative zero point 0.3. So yeah, there's got to be a legitimate shakeup, which I do think there will be. Get some high strikeout guys in there that can throw hard.
Yeah. All right, and then we'll leave it at this. And then, like I said, a future podcast down the road, we will be talking about more free agency fun outside of only Kyle Tucker. But Anthony Volpe today announced with the so this past Tuesday, Anthony Volpe received his surgery. Uh, Boone said that he will be hitting in 4 months and will not be able to dive on the shoulder for about 6 months. Um, and then he says that the 3 to 4 month mark, the Yankees will have kind of a better idea of his timeline. But it sounds like, Tyler, that he's really at risk of not playing on opening day. I don't think he should play on opening day regardless, but I think it's a bigger conversation. I think there was one thing that Cashman said as well. They asked him about the shoulder issue and said, "Oh,
Hmm.
is it affecting his uh, if it was affecting his season?" And he said, yes, it was affecting him. So, I mean, that's a conversation within itself that why the hell are you putting it back out there? It ties, I mean, we talked
It's the
about it in the
same shit
season.
yeah,
It's the same stuff
it's
they did with
ridiculous.
Rizzo. It's the same stuff that they do all the
Jose
time.
Trevino,
But, and
Donaldson, DJ, the list can go on with stuff like
it
that.
really can.
Hicks.
And I think like it's a special situation here, or maybe not a special situation. It's very similar to all those other situations, but it really is, man, that yes, that's an issue that you were playing him and it was affecting him. But I think the most frustrating part of it is that they're going to use that as the reason to why they still believe in him. Because
Hmm.
listen, I don't think that can Anthony Volpe be a maybe a utility guy, someone of a Swiss Army knife out on the bench or something. I don't think he's very good. I
No,
think
I
this
don't
Yankees
either.
team has seen
Seen
that he's
enough.
not very good. And I was at the game one for the wild card. I was sitting next to my girlfriend. He pops that home run to right field. I go, holy shit, okay, if you're gonna hit during the playoffs, shut me
October
up.
Volpe,
I go,
yep.
October Volpe, he had a couple more singles throughout the series, and then he goes 1 for 15 with 11 strikeouts against the
That's
Blue Jays.
crazy. Yeah.
And it's just like that is the Anthony Volpe experience.
Hmm.
And while it may be that the shoulder issue is affecting him and he's not going to start the season, I really hope that Jose Caballero or someone, I don't think Jose Caballero is going to be some earth shattering shortstop that's
Yep.
going to take the world on fire.
Well, Lombard's not saving the day right now either.
But this team refused to hold his feet to the fire and just handed him everything since the time, and he earned it in that spring training back in 2022. But ever since that time, or 2023,
He was
ever
also
since,
competing with a guy that's not on the team anymore, and he's
and
bad.
he has not had competition, and it's 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 just one of the biggest issues that I find with this team that makes me mad and
Hmm.
makes this team and the fan base just say, because I've said it before, that the rest of baseball, other players who are probably better than Anthony Volpe have been sent down to the minors for less or for not playing nearly as bad
Yep.
as what Anthony Volpe has done. And it's just like, listen, I know you've put all these eggs in his basket and you're banking on him and you're putting him on bus ads. I see him all around where I'm at in New York. I see all the Anthony Volpe ads. But sometimes for the betterment of the team, for the betterment of the guys in the locker room, for the fan base, for the coaching staff, you just got to freaking face the music. And they're not
Hmm.
doing it. And it just by this press conference today, I think we're going to eventually see him. May it be in May or June, and I just can't believe in him. I really can't.
No,
And that this
no
playoffs
one
was just
should.
showing that, man.
Yeah, no one should believe in Volpe. I'm going to be honest. I don't hate the comments being made because
No, I
whenever
mean it's the
you,
truth, but it's just like I
yeah,
don't want to hear it. It's
but
just
whenever you read through the Yankee tea leaves, I think this is how it typically starts. Like they kind of go, yeah, well, maybe he'll be the starter or he should be in that mix. Like, which are the comments of Boone and Cashman right now? Like Brian Cashman goes, I think so, when asked if he believes Volpe will be the Yankee shortstop if he's healthy. So, like, those are fragile words where if they were 100% backing him moving forward, they go, yeah, he's our shortstop as soon as he's healthy. It's Anthony Volpe.
yeah.
So I'll give them a little bit. Like if I can't even know. I shouldn't give them any little bit of credit because he's fucking terrible, Rob. He hasn't been good for a period of time. He's got more ABs than like the majority of, you know, the population of Vietnam, it feels like, and it's just not good. It's a bad result for a very large sample size offensively. Simply, I don't care how good he is defensively. It looked good in the postseason defensively. maybe we're playing the DS start Max Fried game one. If Volpe didn't have blank amount of errors through 9 weeks straight, you
Yeah.
know? So Volpe cannot, injury or not, go into the season as a part of the plan. He cannot be part of the plan, period.
I think it's they operate heading in. I don't even like want to have conversations about him throughout the off season or
I think
because
that, yeah,
and
I re
I really wanted I'm not like disparaging him as a person or anything like that, but man, he has been given so much leash with this team and just time and time again, he'll have these peaks and the valleys are just so bad. And it's just you can't help but like pull your hair out. Then why is he just being given everything?
you know
And
who he reminds me of? Estevan Florial. Like you can be good for 8 games in a row, and then you're really bad for 9 weeks. I feel like that's the difference between a major league player and a guy that is a journeyman.
yeah,
Honestly, like anyone can get hot for a couple games. Not anyone, but you know what I mean.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, so
I
that's
do
going to be the
think,
conversation with Volpe.
yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think a lot of the team remains the same in terms of second, third, first, right field. I think if I had to guess, I think Belly will be back. So Belly, left field is essentially going to be the same with Jason, I think. Um, Cash can make a move at catcher and shortstop. Those are his areas that he can make improvements
A right-handed catcher,
through the
yeah.
market. Yeah, I'm not even, but I'm saying like if you want to move Wells or you want to try and attach Volpe onto something or center something around, but like I don't
Oh,
think
no
it's
one's
out of the
centering anything around
well,
Volpe.
yeah, but I'm saying like you move Heel and Volpe, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah,
Warren and
no,
Volpe,
you get a little creative if you put
but
actual someone that teams want.
yeah. So I will say, like, does Cash have a big like moment he can have? I don't know. That moment only exists at shortstop and catcher, in my opinion. If
I
he
don't
wants
dis
to make a splash.
I don't disagree, and maybe it's an overload. They see the overload of starting pitchers now with Schlittler, and
Mhm.
they maybe make something funky there. But
And shit's gonna get, man,
I
shit
mean,
is getting hot in Yankee land,
we
bro.
didn't see them trading for Devin Williams last year. Like, is it going to
No,
be a deal
yeah.
like that? I don't know.
And we
So
know Cash likes to trade. So,
he does. He
and he
doesn't want to
does,
sign anybody.
yeah, he does acquire at the deadline. McMahon's going to be the third baseman. I don't think there's going to be an upgrade there, honestly,
Yeah,
which I think I'm fine with for the most part. But when you look at
Bregman.
it, Rob,
No, I'm kidding. I don't actually think they're going to get
I mean,
Bregman,
I
but
would love
I
Bregman,
would love
but
Bregman, but Cash will never do that.
yeah, I'm all over Bo Bichette. But I actually I hate facing him, but would be beautiful.
That's
And
why you
that's,
want it. That's why you want him.
yeah, it's just that, I mean, also like he's one of the last few guys that literally can throw 200 hits together a year.
Mhm.
So,
Also, great off-season follow on Twitter. I love Cam Schlittler's Twitter. I
oh
don't know if
yeah, he's been
he
funny.
is
Yeah, I've been
funny.
seeing.
I love following Cam Schlittler. But yeah, that's disappointing end to the season for the Yanks. And now we're gonna be in full off-season talk mode, and we're gonna be chatting about what this team is gonna do because it's going to look different. Not overly different, but I
It'll look a
think
little different,
it's
yeah.
going to look a little different. I don't think it's going to be the overhaul maybe that we've seen in past years, but I think that it's going to bullpen now seeing Jason Dominguez play every day, what they're going to do at shortstop, like you mentioned catcher. So I think there's going to be some stuff to talk about, Tyler. No doubt.
Win the division. It matters.
Yeah.
Games in April matter. Divisional opponents matter.
Couldn't have
It
said
might
it
have
any
went
better.
different if you won the division.
Couldn't have said it any better myself. Um,
Philosophy matters. Two strike approach matters. That's it. Now
not
now
just
I'm
home
done.
runs.
Yep.
That's fair. Thank you guys for joining us for episode 225. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a rate and review, comment on YouTube what you think about the Yankee season and what you're looking for in the rest of the offseason for this team, and follow us on our social channels on Instagram, TikTok, X, and YouTube if you want to count that in there too. Really appreciate everyone for listening. We'll catch you at 226 to talk about some more offseason dealings. Who do you want to win a World Series, Tyler? If you care.
I mean, I am following.
The Brewers or Seattle? That's all I'm saying.
Probably Milwaukee because like I don't like Seattle.
Yeah, it looks
I
rough.
don't like Cal. I don't care how funny he is and cool.
Go Brewers.
Yeah.
Go Brewers. All
But
right,
I think the Dodgers are going to win, which is going to make it bad for baseball.
that's fair.
Might not be
Probably.
baseball in 27. Who knows?
Yeah, no, we
With the
gotta savor
CBA,
2026,
especially
man.
if the Dodgers win, man, they're going to ask for a salary cap. Players don't want that, brother.
Go Brewers. We'll
Yeah.
catch you at 226.
Brew
Peace.
crew.